Around January of last year, protests by a few girls in Bangalore and Karnataka became a national issue, from debates in the Supreme Court to netas then jumping in. The hijab issue was truly, some feel, blown out of proportion. But as Karnataka votes now, we have been covering the campaigning, hearing the voters on the ground who have spoken on several issues. But one thing is very clear, neither the netas nor the people think that the hijab ban is an issue. So what lesson does this really teach us about the entire saga, and why have our politicians chosen to completely dodge this issue? That's the question that we ask today. I have with me SK Datta, political analyst. Rajalakshmi Joshi will also be joining me shortly. And we also have with us Alok Mehta, editorial director of the ITV network with us. Rajalakshmi Joshi, what do you feel? Why exactly do you think the hijab issue was not really an issue at all as far as the polls are concerned? Was it because it's a sub judice matter, therefore political parties were not commenting on it, that people want to let law take its course? But we know in India that when it comes to politics, when it comes to campaigning, really nobody is following what the court is expecting you to follow. So it can't be as simple as that. Was it then, to begin with, largely a non-issue that was really just blown out of proportion last year, and we see that it's died a natural death coming into this year?
Yes, Devika. What I have always been saying about this issue is that this was a non-issue that was blown out of proportion completely, and only thanks to the PFI. And, because of the crackdown by the NIA on the PFI and so many of their officials being arrested, there has been a total crackdown, especially in Karnataka. And that is why you see that, most of these people who were actually behind all of this, they are obviously under the scanner right now. And so then this issue has not got any support. So immediately you see the result, that is the issue has died a natural death. And it was always a matter of only those school students who actually had an issue. In fact, like Professor Datta was saying, they were brainwashed by certain people of the PFI into saying, they were made to, they were actually pressurized, because they had some days back, before that incident, they had attended another rally for another student, and the PFI actually found objections with that, and then they brainwashed these students into becoming a very strong Muslim, something of that sort. And that is the reason why they suddenly, these students who were not even wearing a hijab before that, a lot of students claim that they didn't even know that these students were Muslim and that they had never ever worn a hijab. And these students, suddenly they start demanding that they want to wear a hijab. And then what happens is, all over the country, it blows up as if, the hijab is being banned. It was never an issue of the hijab being banned. It was just that the school was insisting on keeping a uniform. So now these girls who have a personal issue with the school, they are the only ones who are pursuing the case further. And then there are obviously some other vested interests. But then this issue, obviously, when they don't have the backing or the source backing it anymore, so that is why the issue has died a natural death. And obviously, as and when necessary, some political parties, they will keep raking it up. But then as of now, this issue doesn't really hold good, because like I said, it was a non-issue. And, that is why they are finding newer and, more and more other ways of trying to invoke these kind of passions by this appeasement of, suddenly they bring up the Bajrang Dal issue, and which was absolutely unnecessary. So how else do they appease the minorities when they don't have the hijab issue? So that is why they bring up the Bajrang Dal issue by saying that by equating the Bajrang Dal with the PFI, which is a certified terror organization. Like, the NIA has put a charge sheet against the officials of the PFI, and they have very categorically said, you are all aware, we have discussed this in earlier shows, they have put it up as to why the PFI needs to be banned. So then obviously you can never equate the Bajrang Dal with the PFI. In spite of that, that issue is raked up, because now the hijab issue doesn't hold good. And people have realized that it was a non-issue. So I think that the hijab issue was just a matter of rabble-rousing, like you have rightly said. And I think that it is rightly so, that I think we did have debates about all of it, and
Okay.
I hope that people see good sense into why the students should be maintaining a uniform in the school. I think that that
Okay.
is how it should be. Freedom of choice, freedom of wearing whatever clothing they want to wear is outside the classrooms, but within the classrooms, I think students should always maintain a uniform.
Okay. All right.